Hi, Phyllis here from southernfrugal.com. This afternoon I'm going to freeze some apples. Now, I just go ahead and cook my apples all the way before I freeze them. And I do that really for convenience because that way we can have some apples for dessert, and I can just take them out of the freezer, put the little freezer bag in a little bowl of warm water, and they're thawed out, and I can warm them up, add a little more cinnamon, butter, whatever, sugar maybe, and they're real convenient that way. And I'm also freezing these today because I found one that was rotten. So I bought these apples, here they are, maybe a month ago now. We pretty much have a couple of apples in our smoothie every single morning, and regardless of what kind of smoothie it is, I'll pretty much always put a couple of apples in the smoothies. I bought these maybe, I don't know, a bushel 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think. And so the apples were harvested last September, and so they're stored, Washington State, right? And they know how to store them and keep them, but still, once you take them out of storage and they put them, at the farmer's market, and they start going bad. So I need to do something with them. Anyway, I wanted to give you a little history on these apples. They are Gala apples. I made myself some notes because I don't want to forget anything. Now, the Gala apple is my favorite apple of all time. I think they taste wonderful. And to me, they taste better after they're cooked than they do when they're raw. But anyway, here's a little history. The Gala apple was discovered in the 1920s in New Zealand. And apparently, this guy was growing golden delicious apples, and he was also growing the Cox Orange Pippin apple. And somehow they got crossed, and so that became the Gala apple. Now, the Cox Orange Pippin, I've never even seen one, but apparently they don't really cook up very well. They kind of fall apart. And Galas will do that if you cook them too long. But when you cook Gala, it just super enhances the taste of them. I'm not even sure why. There's probably some scientific reason for that. But anyway, really, a Gala is a cross between a Golden Delicious and a Cox Orange Pippin apple, which is mostly grown in England now, and it is an Old English variety. And so anyway, the Gala apple made its way to the U.S. markets in the 1980s, and some of you weren't even born then probably, but anyway, that's when they started appearing. Now, they're sweet, and they're real crispy and very aromatic. So typically, this is what they look like. Now, some of them will be more red than others. It's sort of like a stripe. It's sort of got a pale yellow background with kind of a little red stripe. Now, this is very typical of a Gala apple. Let me show you another one. This is also a Gala apple, but it's got more red on it, but you can still see the stripes. Now, I've just washed these, so they're still a little wet, but you can see the difference. This is Gala, but this is Gala also. Okay, now what we're going to do first, I've already thoroughly washed the apples, and they are going to be peeled now and quartered. Now, I'm going to show you how I do that. Now, I like to do this as quick as possible. So the first thing I do is kind of take out that middle section along with the core, and then I take out the bottom section by just putting my knife in there. And what I try to do is get out all that little brown, little hairy stuff that's always in the core of an apple. Then I take the bottom off very quickly, take the top off, then I just turn it around and start cutting down. Now, remember, I peel 2 apples every single morning of my life, so I've gotten pretty good at it and pretty fast. And this is exactly how I peel them every morning. Now this is a pretty juicy apple too. All right, the apple's completely peeled. Now I cut it in half, and then I quarter it, and then I just take my knife and gently cut out that middle section. So that's what I'm left with, a quarter of the apple. And I try to make sure that when I take that center out, that I don't leave any of that little core, and that's a little hard thing. I'll show you what it looks like. Y'all know what I'm talking about. That's a little thing that holds the seed. Ooh, man, when I'm eating a cooked apple and I get a hold of it, I can't stand it. So I always just make sure that's all the way out. And there you go. Now let's do another one real fast. All right, first take out the center with your little paring knife. And if the stem doesn't come out, that's okay. Then take the bottom out. And I go pretty deep because I want to get that little hairy looking thing out. This is what I'm talking about. See that little thing? I can't. See, there was some more on my knife. Now I'm going to rinse these off again because you always end up with some of that little black hairy looking stuff, you know, on the apples. So just cut around the top first. Then I just go down. Cut it down like that. And I know some of you older ladies, I know you know how to peel apples, but there are probably some younger ladies who don't know how to do it real fast. And I know you can get apple peelers, that little thing that you crank. Who can deal with that? I can't. So I cut them in half, then cut it in a quarter, and just slice out that center section. Now, I have used an apple core before, but my experience with apple coring little things is that they leave that hard little thing, especially in the Gala apples, because that thing goes way back there. All right, there you go. Now, I'm going to go ahead and peel the rest of these and quarter them, and we'll be back. But first I want to tell you, I do not use this fresh fruit or fruit fresh stuff on my apples. I know a lot of people do, and I'm going to tell you why I don't. Because I want them to go ahead and start turning a little bit dark. I do. That enhances the flavor too. Now, I read a thing one time about a way that apples can help nausea. And what people used to do, now this is a long time ago, okay? They'd peel an apple and just, you know, cut it up and leave it sitting on the counter for maybe 30 minutes and let it turn really brown and then eat it. And somehow that's supposed to cure nausea. Now, I've never tried it, but I do know if you go ahead and let them start getting a little brown and then you cook them, they actually, for some reason, taste better. Now, they will look a little brown, but they'll actually taste better. All right. I'm going to finish peeling these and we'll be back. Okay, we have completed peeling all the apples, and I hope you can see some of them have turned dark. See, just a little dark edge on them. And I don't know why that makes them taste better, but it does. I have no idea why. There's probably some scientific reason for that I don't know. But anyway, I like them like this. All right, now, these are just the apples, no water yet. I'm going to add just 1 cup of water. Put the lid on it, and I'm going to turn the burner up on about medium-high. Let these come to a boil, and then I'm going to stir them a little bit, and I'll show you what else I do. All right, we'll be back. Okay, my 1 cup of water that I put in the apples has started boiling. Now I'm just going to take them and try to pull some up from the bottom so that they'll all kind of cook at the same time. Now the apples are going to release some of their moisture, and so you really don't need to really add any more water. All right, now I'm going to let these continue to cook, and I'm going to cut the heat down to really medium-low. So I'm going to let them cook for about another 30 minutes, and then we'll be back. Okay, at this point the apples have been cooking for about 10 minutes, or should I say steaming for about 10 minutes. I'm just going to get those up from the bottom because I want them all to cook at the the same degree. All right, now I'm going to add a little salt, just a couple of sprinkles, and I'm going to add a couple of scoops of sugar. Just sprinkle that over the top. That's probably enough. And now I'm going to add 1 more cup of water. And at this point, I'm going to put in some ground cinnamon. Not a whole lot, but some. You'll notice they cook down just a little bit. All right, lid goes back on, and we'll turn the burner up to medium, and we'll be back when these are ready. Okay, my apples are pretty well done now. See how golden they turned? Now, part of that's because of the cinnamon that I added. But what I'm going to do now is sit them in a sink of cold water, and I'll change the water a couple of times. Let them cool off and just put them in freezer bags and mash out all the air and freeze them, and they'll be really good. And when we take them out of the freezer, I just defrost them with the microwave, and still trying to get that little fruit fly. Sorry. Okay. So anyway, I go ahead and just defrost them in a little, little pot or bowl of hot or warm water, or in the microwave. And then when I warm them up in a pot, I will put a little butter in them, maybe a little more sugar, and a little more cinnamon, and I serve them over what we call biscuit toast. And in fact, we're going to have some of this now. I just cut a biscuit in two, put a couple of dabs of butter on it, and pop it in the little toaster oven, and cook the apples just a little bit more with some butter, and it's delicious. All right, I hope you'll try these Gala apples. They are just super good. My favorite. Now, when I make an apple pie, I pretty much always make the apple pie with fresh apples. I've never really tried it with frozen apples before, but anyway, I hope you'll try these Gala apples. They do freeze very, very well. All right, we'll see you next time. All right, I just wanted to do a little footnote video to show you how I fixed these. Now, just pretend these were previously frozen, and I thawed them out, and I put a couple of pats of butter in it. I've also toasted some biscuits by just cutting them in half, and they've got a little crispy crust on them, so I'm going to put that down in the bowl. And spoon some apples along with the juice right over that biscuit. Put the top half right on it. And more apples. I'm not going to videotape the next part, but I put a scoop of ice cream right on top of that. Tastes as good as any apple cobbler you'll ever eat, made with Gala apples. All right, see you next time.